afternoon, but certainly this Boxing Day. It's wonderful to have your company. I'm enjoying very much talking to my guests in particular, the next of whom joins me now. Her name is Liz Foster. And, Liz, there, you can hear her there having a little chuckle. During lockdown, Liz did a wonderful, clever thing that now is helping us all get a bit of exercise and learn more about where we are, the things that we take for granted every day. Liz, welcome to the show. It's a pleasure to speak to you. Good afternoon. I do have Keith Brymer-Jones and his wife Marge in the studio as well, so they're listening along. So don't be surprised if you suddenly hear another voice. But Keith, of course, big Kent person based in Whitstable. And I thought he might be interested in hearing some of the tidbits that you come up with, because I know that you have many, many fascinating stories about all sorts of things that we just wander past and don't know the history of. So welcome back to the show.
Absolutely. Lovely to speak to you. I hope you've all had a lovely Christmas and enjoying Boxing Day.
It wasn't bad at all, but boy, do I need to get out there and exercise, because it's all been about the food.
We all do now, exactly. We've all done the eating, now we need to do a bit of moving around.
Yes. Well, a quiz trail is a pretty good way of doing it. And I know that you have them not only in Kent, you've got them in Surrey, you've got them in Sussex, you've got also, and farther beyond, actually. You've got quiz trails everywhere.
Places,
but take me back, for anybody who hasn't heard you before, tell us all how quiz trails began.
So it began from an enjoyment of walking and enjoyment of having a look around at history. I did my GCSE in history when I was 41. I've always loved history, and I enjoyed Rochester. So I made a trail with my daughters, Becky and Laura, around Rochester. Rather than just walking around, we put questions at all the different points, so that you actually get to see different bits. And, you know, we also get told to look up, don't we? So we all look up and point out things. So we made Rochester, and then lockdown came, and then I spent the whole of lockdown researching tons of places in Kent, and it was fascinating. Thoroughly enjoyed what we've learned, and it's been great to share it then through our quiz trails with other people who also tell us they enjoy them. So a great way to get out with the family. And also we've got questions for children and for adults, so you can, all different generations can go out and have a lovely time together.
It's such a good idea, and particularly over Christmas, because we all do indulge that little bit too much. And as you say, we need to get out there and stretch our legs. Which new trails have come along since we last spoke? Because I have chatted to you on the radio before. What's new?
Yes. Well, we've got a couple coming up that will be out in January, and that's going to be the Isle of Sheppey Trail and Swale. And also Tunbridge, which was also everywhere that we start looking into. It's just fascinating. But one of my favourites for walking is Margate. Absolutely love Margate, because although it's sort of known throughout the land as a seaside place, there's so much history there. It's a wonderful, wonderful place. And we've got the romance there of Turner that lived with Sophia Booth there. So it's nice to walk along the harbour arm. They've got the shell statue of Sophia Booth there. And he actually went to school in Margate, and his first love was Elizabeth, who was his friend's sister. And when he was 21, he was ready to propose to her, and he found out she'd got engaged to somebody else. So, sadly, so she's buried
I hate it when that happens.
Exactly. Catches us all out, that one, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It took too long to make his mind up. He should have been a bit quicker off the proposal route.
Well, he wasn't in there. They were only young. I mean, come on, 21. It's very early these days to jump in.
No, this is late 1700s. They were
different
married
times.
and done by then.
I suppose, because they might die by 40, I suppose. Yes, absolutely.
Exactly. So she's buried in, his first love's buried in St John's Church in Margate, and his last love, Sophia Booth, the famous landlady that he lived with for many years, is also buried there. So his first and last love are buried together in the same churchyard.
Not too close to each other, I hope, because that could be a bit...
No, there would have been a bit of animosity.
No. I was actually saying, I must admit, when Keith and Marge very kindly said they'd come into the studio today, we were chatting about their drive-in, as you do. It's the usual thing. Someone turns up, is it a long drive for you? And they happened to mention Paddock Wood, and I told them, and maybe you could... give them some more detail about how Pimm's began at the hop farm in Kent.
Well, what happened was Pimm's was actually developed just outside Sittingbourne by James Pimm's. I'm trying to think what was his surname.
Wow.
Well, I thought it was Pimm's.
That'll be it. Pimm's, yes. Yeah, wow.
So he developed it, and then he is buried in Paddock Wood. So his grave is in Paddock Wood of James Pimm's. But as I said, I think I said to you before, I'd never noticed there's an apostrophe in Pimm's until I found out that it was actually made by a man called James Pym, so it was belonging to him.
Of
but
course.
also in Paddockwood was the first speeding ticket was ever given out.
Was it? I didn't know that.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, sorry. I
And the
did that.
second was Keith this morning
Yeah.
coming in to talk to me. No, not really.
Scooted through. But were you doing what the first person was doing, and that was 8 miles an hour?
Oh, wow.
No, he
He was
wasn't.
doing 8 miles an hour. The speed limit was 4 miles an hour, and the bobby that caught up with him did it on his bicycle and caught him.
How marvellous.
Brilliant. God, law in the fast lane, eh? Yeah,
I
brilliant.
love your stories. I love your stories, Liz. You
Wow.
always entertain me. Where is on your hit list to do a quiz trail of in 2025 after this one comes out?
Yeah. What my next one I want to do is along the... I absolutely love Dungeness, our...
Oh, I'm glad you said that. Yeah, because
Yeah,
we love Dungeness.
I was thinking of Dungeness. That would be fascinating.
Yes, I want to do it along the Dymchurch train line. So
Yeah.
you go from
Nice.
Dymchurch Hythe along the way, and all the New Romney. You go through all those interesting places, and obviously there's so much smuggler history and all sorts that went on down there, and to end up in Dungeness and to do it, but to be able to then either drive yourself, cycle it, or go on the lovely train line along there and to see all the places. So to do the trails and questions and things and answer clues, and then, get to learn a lot more about the area. So
I'd imagine with an area like Dungeness, it must be as much trouble thinking of things to exclude from the book because there's so much history there and
This
so
is
much,
what I keep
so many
finding, yeah.
fascinating tales. You must think, my goodness, I could do a whole telephone book on this.
I
It's just
know.
an interesting place.
Well, it's a very strange place, isn't it? It's like a lunar landscape.
Yes, it is. It's wonderful, isn't it? It's a desert, isn't it? It's not.
It is a
Yeah,
desert.
yeah.
a desert. Yeah.
I remember going there once, and it was sunset, and it was like twilight, in the summer.
Yeah,
And I walked into the Britannia pub by the
Yes.
nuclear power perimeter fence, which is something that you don't say every day. And I walked in there, and they had an Elvis competition, and there were 200 Elvises looking at me. It was very, very strange. Yeah.
Are you
We
sure
went
you
there.
didn't dream it?
You'd had a few too many at the bar in
Yeah.
that pub. Yeah, we
Exactly.
believe you. We believe you. I'm just wondering, Liz, because obviously Keith is based in Whitstable at the moment, not for
Yes.
much longer because he is off to Wales, which I'm just about starting to forgive him for, which is a TV series in itself. But I'm wondering, are there any fascinating things about Whitstable that you could
I
maybe
love
educate Keith and Marge on this morning?
Oh, I'm sure they know everything about Whitstable. But obviously, one of the most famous people connected with there is Peter Cushing, who lived there in his
Yeah,
80s.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
and his,
yeah.
And his wife died reasonably youngish, and he went to her grave every single day. He went and sat with her, and there was a sort of viewpoint where they used to go and sit together. And so there's romance all over Kent. There's these lovely stories everywhere. And there's another one at Seasalter just up the road where there was the Reverend Thomas Patton, and he was the vicar back in the 1700s. They'd not been able to get a vicar to stay very long, but they got this one, and he stayed 57 years or something.
Wow.
But he used to do his sermons on a Sunday, and he'd turn up in just like a tramp. He just turned up in an old cart and everything. But he used to talk and talk and talk on his sermons. And in the end, one of the congregation would hold up a lemon because they'd had enough, and that was a sign that they were all to go to the local pub.
Wow.
Brilliant. I'm going to forever carry a lemon in my pocket
That's-
now.
that's-
When
Wave it-
someone is boring me,
And
I
wave
should
it to
just
me in the
hold it.
studio. I don't like that idea, Marge. No, I'm not having that. Every time I see someone coming in with any fruit, I'll be nervous now, Liz. Thank you very much indeed for chatting to me this morning. It's been
have a
such
lovely
fun, as it
afternoon.
always is. Where can people buy your quiz trails if we've enticed them to
We've
purchase a
got a
quiz trail?
website. Yeah, me and Becky and Laura, we've got a website, and it's www.quiztrail.co.uk.
Thank
Simple
you
as
so
that.
much. Thank you for chatting
Fabulous.
to me, and hopefully I'll have you
Lovely.
on Sunday as well, because I think it's good that we talk about getting out there and getting fit, and it's more encouragement when you're learning about your local area with all those fascinating little nuggets that Liz has.
Brilliant.
She's one of those people you want to have a dinner party around, don't you?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, definitely.
Thank you, Liz. It's been really good chatting. Let's move on with some Miles Smith now. This is Stargazing with me.